A little bare face silhouette with little floppy ears just for this chunky blanket. So here is how you would add one. You're going to mark off where you want your circle for the head. And I kind of did 4 stitches across on each side, so it's a circle, a true circle. And then you'll want to take your working yarn and pull up loops in each one of those little spots there where I have the extra yarn. So to pull up loops, you put your working yarn underneath, and then you can push that working yarn up and through. Just be sure that you're pulling on the working yarn end side and not your tail end side, because then you're going to pull your other loop out. So we're pulling up loops in each one of those spots right here. Then go back to your first loop and take your second loop through the first loop. Then the next loop through that loop. The next loop through that loop. And I'm kind of adjusting as I go to make it into a circle. Make the yarn do what you want it to do. Once you get to the end of the circle right here, you actually need one more loop right in here so that we can secure that other loop down onto it. So you're going to bring that new loop through that old loop, and then we will secure this one down by cutting your working yarn in the back. Then we're going to take that working yarn and go right up through, right in here, in between one of those first loops, to put the tail end through that last loop. And then you kind of secure it and then push the tail end back down right through that same hole you came up in. And that's going to secure that loop to the blanket. So now we want to fill the gap in the middle. What you're going to do is take your working yarn underneath again and pull up 4 different loops. And it's going to be really, really close to your loops that are like the edge right there of your loops of the outside circle here. And it doesn't really matter where they are, just as long as they're about 2 fingers wide. And that's how they should be on all of your loops, is about 2 fingers wide, tall, however you want to say that. Just wide enough to where they can go in and through each other. So you're going to take that first loop and go over that second loop, third loop into the second loop, fourth loop into that third loop. And so you're always taking the newest loop through the old loop. And we're going to secure this by cutting our yarn again, just like we did on the last one. Cut our yarn and then take that tail end up through a loop that is ahead of the loop that you just brought through, because otherwise you're going to pull that loop right out if you go through the same hole. So you're going to secure that, and now you can go back down through the same hole right here. So same concept as kind of tying off that circle to begin with. Now we're going to make the ears with a secured loop. And so this is super fun because they kind of stick off. You're going to pick some of the loops on the blanket and pull a loop through. It doesn't have to be very big, because we're going to do another loop through that loop, and then we're going to secure that second loop. So the first loop kind of disappears because we're going to pull the tail end until it really secures it to the blanket. And that way your little ear is kind of floppy off of the blanket. It's not, the top part of it is not secured down to the blanket, so it kind of like sticks off. It's really cute. You're going to take those 2 tail ends and you're just going to push them right through the blanket so that we can secure them when we secure those other ends. So see how it kind of like just sticks off the blanket? A little ear. We're going to do that same thing on the other side. So it's a secured stitch. So pick some of the loops that are right up against that circle. So see how I come from the top and push that yarn down through to make that loop. Then we're going to pull up another loop right in that loop and hold on to that while we pull the tail end to secure that to the blanket. Then cut your working yarn and you're going to push those tails right through the back, right next to where your loop is. Push them to the back so we can secure them here in just a second. And then that little ear kind of pops off, and it's super cute, and it won't come off the blanket because we're going to secure it in the back, and it's a secured stitch to the blanket. So turn your work over. Here's the work that's turned over. You're going to clip ends so you can fuse together or tie together. You can do either one. Some of them I tie and some of them I fuse. So right here I'm going to fuse those 2, and I'm going to fuse these 2 right here. So I'm putting them close together so they can fuse. and give a tug test if you need to, that's for sure, because you want it to hold. These ones I'm going to double knot, and then I'm going to cut super close to the knot. So you can do either one or both, and they hold really well. So that is how to add a bear to your chunky blanket. I'm also going to add a nose and some eyes, but that's going to be on part 2. This is just the silhouette part, so you can leave it like that, or you can add eyes and a nose, and it's going to be super cute.